So for today, how do wrestlers deal with long-term injuries and the fear of losing their spot while recovering?
Wow. So the wrestling business has changed quite a lot through the decades. Many, many years ago, there were no guaranteed contracts. You didn't work, you didn't get paid. So guys that got hurt had to figure out how to, wrap an injury up with an ace wrap, pop a few pain pills, and work through it. And, we as professional wrestlers, if you're a true professional, our job is to make the other guy look better than he actually is. And if you know somebody's hurt, you got to work around that injury. And you got to help get a guy through a match and get the best match out of the guy. And I say guy, I mean, men or women, because you got some amazing women in this profession that have also worked through major injuries. And there's no way that you are going to be in this profession for an extended period of time without at some point sustaining some type of an injury. It just comes with the territory. But you have cumulative damage that builds up. I mean, we fall down for a living. And for as fake as pro wrestling is, you can't fake gravity. As I heard a comedian say a long time ago, it's not the fall that kills you, it's the sudden stop at the end. Things have changed a lot through the years. Like traditionally, when you go back to the old territory days, and even the early days of WWF and the NWA, WCW, you didn't have a whole medical crew on site. When I first started with WWE, they had one doctor and a couple trainers. Dr. Rios, as a matter of fact. But in the early days, there was no doctor. You had to go on your dime and you go see a doctor and get taken care of. You had to work through the pain, work around the pain. And sadly, that's how, as I understand it from the guys who were around back then, that's how pills became such a terrible part of wrestling culture initially. Guys working hurt, working through the pain. And then when contracts came, that kind of changed things a little bit, because if you were hurt, you could get your medical attention, recover. You're still under contract, you're still getting paid. But then comes the question about losing a spot. There's been an evolution. Nowadays, if you work for AEW, if you work for WWE, there is a full medical team backstage. You have multiple doctors, multiple trainers. They have all kinds of equipment that they take from city to city. So you get the trainers to work on your, if you have a nagging injury or if you just need to get stretched or warmed up, whatever the case may be, you have trainers and doctors that are backstage taking care of you to keep you in working condition. There was a time when if guys got hurt, they didn't tell the office that they were hurt because they didn't want to lose their spot. They didn't want anybody to know they were hurt. Nowadays, you get in trouble if you don't tell that you're hurt. I remember early in my career, I had a big pay-per-view match coming up, and I had injured my groin pretty badly. And I got a big pay-per-view match. I'm not telling anybody I'm hurt. And I remember Dean Malenko was a producer, and he came up to me, and he said, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "Nothing, Dean, I'm fine." He goes, "Bullshit, don't lie to me." He said, "It's either your knee or your groin."
You could tell.
He had been around a long time, and he could tell by how it was moving. It's your knee or your groin. It was both. But my major injury at that point was my groin. And I said, "Yeah, man, I hurt my groin." And he was like, "Hey, man, you got to tell us. You got to let us know so we can get you treatment so you're okay." And I said, "Yeah, I don't want to get pulled from the pay-per-view." He goes, "Hey, you're not, but you got to let us know."